Should I should I try to restate some of this? I'm happy to. Sure. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Three acts, right? So keep in mind that in general, we have two types of scenes. We have a conversation scene and we have an AI scene. Conversation scene is what we use the dialogue system plugin for and is completely linear like a Netflix Bandersnatch experience. That's conversation. Then we have the AI scene. The AI scene is completely driven by ChatGPT, by us providing a prompt and some type of like um, secondary reference text that then basically the prompt uses as the teaching content for the AI experience, for the AI scene. So we have these two types of scenes. This is how I propose we draft content for this prototype. Act one is conversation. Act two is AI. Act three is another, right? Act one conversation should introduce the topic and maybe ask some questions about like some demographic based questions like who are you, what's your background, what kind of teacher are you, whatever kind of questions are relevant, along with a general introduction to the topic, this experience. Just get them comfortable and ready to go while maybe getting some information about them. Any questions that we ask like this, we can later feed into an analytics system so we can aggregate and collect and do like gather insights on data later though. And that's act one. Act two, AI driven. It's the AI scene. So what that is we have a Socratic teacher prompt, meaning we have the AI acting like a Socratic teacher on any body of text that we provide. So we need to provide some body of text that is relevant to the experience. The goal is we want the person to basically master the contents of that text. We want them to have it well understood. And there might be key insights in the text that we want them to learn. Let's make sure that those are called out. We basically just want a very, like probably at least a page of text that represents something that we want to teach the student. That's act two. Act two is where the actual dynamic AI driven learning occurs. Act two. Act three is another conversation scene. This should generally conclude the experience, and you might even ask some questions to confirm that they've learned key concepts in Act two. And then the experience would end at the end of all of that. Now, what we could also do, and some experiences like this choose to do this, is you ask certain key questions in Act three that demonstrate that they've learned something. And if they have learned it, they've answered the questions correctly, the experience finishes. If they do not learn it correctly, they don't answer the questions correctly, we could loop them back to Act two, right? And that's something we could do if we want to. I think it depends on what kind of text that we want or what kind of experience we want and what kind of things we want to teach them. That's an option. We don't have to do it. But we might want to. It's totally up to us. Yeah, totally. It would be interesting to look at some of that stuff too. Like, yeah, like I think this isn't new. Like, I feel like this stuff has existed in other forms. And like my hope is that we can reference something that is somewhat related to this so we're not completely reinventing the wheel. Because there are ways in which we can make this really effective, but like the learning experience needs to be designed in a way that is effective. Like we have all the tools here now. Now we just need to design something engaging from an educational perspective. But if we do that with these tools, I think it'll be really, really powerful. I think it could be award winning. So it really comes down to us picking the right topic and doing it the right way at this point. So this should be a document, maybe like a one, perhaps 2 page document, split into 3 scenes: act one, act two, act three. And then those rules that, or those kinds of like things I just said about what each act should be, we should really keep that in mind. Let's not deviate from this pattern for now, because I think this pattern is simple. And I think I believe it to be minimally effective in terms of what we're trying to achieve in the abstract. And it might focus us into creating like something specific. So act one, act two, act three, conversation, AI, conversation. And let's just see how we get on. If we can get that, let's say in the next like I say in the next month, if we can get have this document written within the next 30 days, I think we can continue on track for October. Where like we hit October, maybe November, always add a bit of padding. We have everything we need to basically begin talking about productization, which is how do we get this out to an like outside of us? How can we start like showing this to people, getting feedback, maybe having people like do press around it or maybe make it like publicly release it. I think we'll be in that stage of discussion by October if we keep pace with those 2 milestones, technical milestones that I just mentioned. And then we have this third milestone of like that content document. Yeah. How does that? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Great. So I know we have a bit of time left. Why don't I show you what I've been up to? And I think this will indirectly answer some of the questions that you just had about um like the scenes. What was your question about the scene again? Something about the image, right? If you've already pulled when was the last time you pulled the latest code? I I pulled the no no it's already pulled. It's already pushed. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. You know what? That guidance that I gave you wasn't complete. In fact, I think it was wrong. So don't worry about it. If you just get the latest code, like I don't generate. So here, let me show you what we have now. This is AI conversation. Um, I'm gonna actually stop sharing, and then I need to do like mic share sound. Here we go. Okay. All right. So just to show this to you, We have a conversation and we have an AI conversation. These are our two scenes, right? The regular conversation is what you're used to, is what we were doing before. And then the AI conversation is now was the open AI scene that we were playing with, right? But I refined it. So let's talk about oops. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done here. So there we go. So we have this here. So we're using ChatGPT Turbo 16K. 3.5 is the newest version of ChatGPT 3. Turbo 16K means it can support more tokens. And because dumping tons of text, we need to use this version. It's more Chat 4 is also it also has limitations where if we use it too much, it'll just stop working. And they're still rolling it out. 3.5 is like mainstream. Use it to death. And it's like an LTS. It's like an LTS. So we're using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model. Temperature, I think zero and yeah, because like temperature is how strict should I follow your instructions versus how creative I should be. And if the number is too low, there's so little room for creativity, doesn't have any opportunity at all to think outside the box, quite literally. Um, Point two is probably the lowest that I've seen documents recommend you go. Um, but if you go too high, it actually won't even listen to your prompt anymore. So this is definitely like a magic number that is a very contextual number. We like every time we tune, like every time we write a new prompt, we should consider adjusting the temperature to make sure that we're fitting the right, we're fitting in rightly, effectively. Um, Max tokens, I don't think we'll have to worry about. It's large enough. This is the amount of symbolic information that we can, like text characters, that we can provide chat GPT at any one time. This is everything we need to worry about here. Then everything else is inside of this AI conversation game object. So I've modified this slightly. So you have prompt. So let's copy this so we can read it better. Let's open it here. So this is the main prompt, right? Now we can modify this heavily. This is actually a default prompt recommended by OpenAI developers in their documentation. We should absolutely modify this to be more specific to what we want to do. I'm not really going to do that until I see the content, but we can modify this heavily and completely swing the overall experience of the AI. You probably saw the previous prompt that I had. It's very different from this. Probably we want to do something in the middle. This is probably too Socratic. It's going to ask you too many questions. And I think my previous prompt was too weak. It was more engaging, I think, and more human feeling and more conversational, but wasn't as learning outcome driven. So I think combining these two prompts is probably what we should do to some degree. But I'm not going to make that call until we see the content because that's going to really swing what we do here. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. So let me get there next. 100%. This is just the prompt, right? Now, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So that's the topic. So this is all the text from Act Two, right? That's right. Now this can be a lot longer, although don't make it 20 pages because then we'll run out of tokens. Like this is like this entire thing is about 5,500 characters. And I think maybe it's a token for a couple characters. So we're fine. Maybe you can make this a bit longer, but I wouldn't make this a lot longer. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We can tune these things. Like I can allow for more tokens, but I want us to do that consciously. So I'm not gonna just like open it up for no reason. But in general, topic goes here. We have a setting. I I wouldn't worry so much about this in assistant prompt. These we can infer from just the context of everything else. We like these are like additional tunings that we can use to help kind of it's almost like temperature. If you change these things, you can kind of like guide it in a certain way. But really the most important thing is like who is the prompting, what is the objective and what is the topic? And everything, and we can tune these later. I would say these are the two big things. Um, and that's it. When you run it, what you'll see is that this looks very similar to what we have in the old scene. We see that this person doesn't animate yet. I'm considering that to be polish because it's all going to be mimicked anyway. We're not able to like real time animate this person in any kind of reasonable way. So I'm going to suggest that we don't, at least for the prototype. I'm going to just have them do like impromptu gestures, right? But you can see here that it's very like question based. Um, this is the second act, right? Because the first act is you having a linear conversation. The second act is you talking with an AI. And the third act is you having a linear conversation to wrap things up, right? So this is act two. Act two is you're talking to an AI. Tell me more about King Henry. I'm not going to answer these questions because I'm lazy. I'm just going to Henry. Yeah, see, there you go, right? Now it's too aggressive. It's too aggressive with the questions. We need to tune this prompt. I'm not worrying about that right now, but the system works. We can also record it. Tell me more about King Henry's siblings. I think it's because we're on Zoom. Tell me more about King Henry's siblings. Yeah, I think it's just because we're on Zoom. I think because like when I do this not on Zoom, it does work, but it's a bit finicky. Then eventually this person will be done and they'll hit goodbye. And goodbye is the next is the AI is the regular conversation scene, right?
Welcome Total Experience Learning Registered
So
Educator.
these are the two scenes. So everything's stitched up already. And we can go through as many AI conversations and as many regular conversations as we like, but I'm going to just suggest this 1, 2, 3 act pattern for now. We have all the systems we need except the microphone system. Um, and speech, like 11 lab stuff. But I'm just going to call that all just like speech systems. I need to like refresh and rejigger the speech systems. And honestly, when that's done, this is, I think, really solid. And we add that content. Now we have a pretty sexy prototype. Build it WebGL, have people use it on their phones, on tablets, on desktops, in VR headsets, and just show them that them talking and having this like non-linear experience. That's amazing. I think people are going to be like, wow, this is like, there's some potential here. I think this can make a lot of noise. Right. Yeah, it's like you don't want to work on the kitchen sink before you build the foundation of the house. And people might care about the kitchen sink more than the foundation, but you can't have a kitchen sink without a foundation. So, I can explain this to them. It's not a problem. We're definitely moving in the right direction. And once these core systems are built, the polish will come very quickly because that stuff is not difficult. It's just wasteful to do it too early because you have to keep destroying it. Yep. Um, this is all pushed. So if you can grab all of this right now, and if you want to experiment, please feel free. Um, I'm going to show you another thing you can do because maybe like you don't have to be in the project because we really need to focus on this document, but maybe you want to play around with the AI a bit. Like, hey, I don't know if this prompt will work better than that prompt. Do I really have to do this in the app to figure that out? The answer is no. I want to show you something. And I think maybe this will be the last thing I'll show you, and then maybe we can just like chat next time, like soon with Anne. Um, one moment. I'm just gonna open something on my end. Let's see here. Yep. Yep. Okay. So we're in our open AI platform right now. And one thing you can do is there's something called Playground. What you can do is you can actually type all of the stuff, right? We've got our prompt here, and then we've got our text. I can literally just paste that here, right? Set my temperature to 0.4, turbo 16, the exact model we want to use. And there's other things we can tune that I haven't exposed. Full confession, I don't really know what these all necessarily do yet, but you could play with them, and hypothetically, if they improve the experience, I could expose them to our software and tune them. But you basically just have everything here and you just hit submit. And there you go. You can do this outside of the app. Now it won't be driven, it won't be as sexy, but like in terms of just creating content, creating this page and fully figure out, okay, well, what's going to make sense? This is going to be a much quicker way to rapidly iterate on that document. Because if you have to like pull the latest software, open Unity, make these adjustments, play in Unity just to figure this out, that's more friction to every cycle that you do. This is a very low friction way of doing it. Um, Probably do most of your iterative cycles in this tool, and then maybe we can do the last few in Unity, and that would probably be significantly faster. Just a thought. Yeah. And this is just in order to kind of get here, you should only have to type this in platform.openai.com/playground. And this is just the API playground. If you log in with Anne's account. Yeah, there's also other examples of things you can do here. And then these open in Playground. So let me show you, like, here's one, Socratic tutor. This might look familiar. This is exactly what I just took, right? There's even a type of there's a type of like request you can make. I think this is Python. Yeah, it's Python mm, that you can run. But you could also, you don't have to write your own Python. See that? So what you can also do, like, and this is also just in general, if you're ever like feeling like experimental, you can basically just see this right here. Marv, this sarcastic chatbot. Marv is a factual chatbot that is also sarcastic. So open in Playground. And you can see that there's already some primed text. So this is an important part of the API where you can like precede a conversation between you and the AI in addition to in addition to the base prompt. And these base, yeah. And now how many clocks do you have? So with all that pre-training, you now can just continue the conversation, right? It just keeps, and so if we want to prime the conversation with some, like, because like we can do that in any thing. Like this is a general feature of the playground, is having preceded user and assistant chat histories, and we can add that to Unity very easily. In fact, we already kind of have it. I just haven't exposed it to the inspector. It's in the code 100%. So if it makes, so like if it's like, hey, like actually it would be better if I kind of create a head start to the conversation because that guides the AI in a more kind of meaningful way. Totally. And you can do that in the playground. You don't even have to do that in Unity. In fact, I think it would be better if you did it here, right? Um, yeah. So I would say, even though, even though you're more than welcome always to like pull down the app and push anything up that you need, or you feel like you want to add, it probably will be easier and probably more productive for you to use this tool and stick to the one in terms of developing content. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, this is honestly like so fun. I think this is 100% the future of something. I have no idea what. I feel like we're like surfing on the edge of what some of this is capable of in terms of our particular context. And I think that's pretty awesome that we get to work on it. Um, I think we just keep trucking along here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we come up with. I'm going to shoot Anne an email, shoot us all an email right after this call and try and get something scheduled. And we'll just keep talking and see how it goes. Yeah, sweet. I haven't, I haven't, is it good? Is it good? Did you do the Barbenheimer thing at all? That's so silly. Barbenheimer. I'm looking at my schedule right now, and I think a Tuesday or perhaps Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, are any of those days particularly good for you? How about like Tuesday at 1 p.m.? I'll suggest this to Anne if she's free Tuesday afternoon. In general, I'm free. I'm free like Tuesday afternoon in general. If you're free, then I'll make that as a suggestion to her. Is that a, is it? I mean, I'm available, but just so I know for Anne's sake, is that a strict two or is it flexible? Yeah. So let me just draft this right now. 1 second. And Dave catch up meeting. Hi, Anne. Dave and I were wondering if you were free to catch up this Tuesday around 2 p.m. Eastern. Is that right? Thanks, Sunny and Dave. Sweet. That is sent. We shall see what she says. And take it from there. Very good. What are you up to this week? Yeah, it's ramping up to that. Cool. Cool. I'm just gonna be probably working on the microphone stuff, and we have a big release for the biomedical, like for Luminopia. We have a big release next week and be working on that. But otherwise, just trying to like relax a little bit and like I've been boxing more lately, and that's been really great. So just trying to get in more and more classes. That's been really fun. I'm down the street from like a boxing school. He probably kicked my ass. I mean, he's training with like professional UFC fighters. I mean, compete with that. I feel like I've seen the picture, but to be honest, I don't know UFC fighters very well. Um, yeah, they all just seem like animals to me. But like, yeah, they're just like, I don't know. Zuckerberg would kick my ass. I think the whole Elon Musk Zuckerberg thing is really funny. I think Zuckerberg would destroy Elon. Yeah, he has like no conditioning, and like sure he's bigger and heavier, but the whole point of jujitsu is being able to submit people who are bigger than you. And that's specifically what Zuckerberg is trained for. And he's being trained by professional UFC fighters. He should demolish Elon. Yeah. Yeah. I doubt it. He's all talk. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think he's maybe very I think Zuck's all about it because Zuck is actually about the challenge. Because like that's because like he's a jujitsu guy, and he wants to fight people. He wants to fight people. He wants to fight anyone because that's what he's learning. Like for Zuckerberg, fighting is a hobby now. Zuckerberg's actually like a jujitsu contender for fun. Elon just wants to stunt on Zuckerberg and is not like a professional fighter or is not training professional fighters. So I think it's more likely that Musk is just talking crap and Zuckerberg's for real because again, like he's doing it anyway. Whether or not Musk fights him or not, he's actually still training and still fighting people. That's like it's his hobby. It's kind of funny. It's almost like Musk kind of challenged him, I think, without realizing that Zuck has a hobby of professionally fighting people or like semi-professionally fighting people, which I just think is so. Yeah, I've seen this photo. Yeah, damn, he's huge. 7 foot. Yeah, 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 Sagat. I don't remember. It's been a while. Yeah, this what a what a crazy like ridiculous world that like two billionaires are fighting like schoolyard boys. Like these are billionaires. These people, like, these people can shift global economies with their words. They're just fighting with each other like it's just like it's so fucking stupid. I just can't believe it. More. Yehan. Have you tried Xbox Game Pass or the Stream Pass or anything like that yet? I heard that's pretty good. So it works on anything because it's all being rendered on a server, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's exactly like Stadia, except it's not going to go away because it's hosted by Xbox and Microsoft. So you can play pretty much any Xbox game now, pretty much any Xbox game without an Xbox, just streaming. And as long as your internet connection is good, the only problem is with fighting games, latency. And I don't know, like honestly, the latency worries me sometimes. Like even if it's like 2 milliseconds, it feels like great, by the way. Like in terms of like actual achievability, like, I mean, it's really good and it's good for a lot of games. But for fighting games, you have to be so precise. I just feel like if they competitively, you're just gonna be really mad at game stream. Yeah, I mean the best way to play is wired out because that way no one can ever blame any kind of lag on anything. Yeah, that's probably the best. Yeah, yeah. All right, man. Well, good catching up as always. I'll let you go and hopefully we'll talk again on Tuesday. Yeah, have a good one, man.